Hello, I'm Austin Ritchie, and this is Homeland Divulged. I'm a senior in the Homeland Security Program from Plymouth, Indiana. I'm joined by my good friend Quentin.
I am Quentin Sager. I am a junior in the Homeland Security Program, and I am from Vincennes, Indiana.
Today on the Homeland Divulged podcast, we are really grateful to be joined by the Jobin family. You guys want to say hi?
Hi, this is Cindy Jobin.
Hello there. My name's Joe.
Again, thank you guys for coming today. We're really grateful to have you guys here. So the main thing we are hoping today is, one, we want to talk to the Jobin family and get to know a former alumni named Kyle Jobin. I'll give you a background on this story in a few minutes, but really we're hoping to really get Kyle's story out there, just keep his memory going, and really just get to know Kyle. So again, we're just really grateful to have you guys here today. And we're hoping that speaking with you guys today will lead to further information about this case, really.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Definitely. So I'm just going to give a quick overview as to Kyle's case real quick for some of our viewers that may not be aware of what Kyle's case was. On January 4th, 2014, Kyle Jobin, a Vincennes University student, would stop at a Marathon gas station on 56th Street in Lawrence, Indiana, near I-465. After exiting the gas station, Kyle was reportedly approached by four males in dark clothing. Kyle would be struck by gunfire during this confrontation and unfortunately would pass away. So with that, as the overview of what Kyle's case was, like I said, we'd like to get to know Kyle more, and I'll have Quentin ask you guys a few questions just about Kyle and you guys' growing up.
So just curious, I would like to know more, like, who was Kyle growing up? What was he involved in high school? What kind of activities did he participate in?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and start here. Kyle was raised as a military brat. I was Air Force for 20 years. He was actually born on the Okinawa, Japan. We moved back here in about the year 2001, I believe, is when we came back. Started off in Portland, Oregon, but shortly after that came and we were actually living in LaPel, Indiana. Still working Air Force at that particular time. So he was a good normal high school kid. I would say, liked to have fun with his friends. He liked to do things like that. Always had a smile, a little bit of a jokester, liked to do things, always he didn't know when to take him serious or when to not take him serious, everything along those lines, and then that really transpired all the way on into his days at high school. We did move from LaPel to McCordsville, and then he went to school at Mount Vernon High School at that particular time. And he was really, I think he was like many, many, many different high school kids, a lot of the time trying to figure out what he wanted to do. And we weren't even sure what he wanted to do. He was talking about all sorts of things like professional football player. That was not going to happen. I'm just telling you right now, there was no chance in the world he was going to be a professional football player. But no, he was just like everybody else, going to school, trying to figure out those same things, where he was, what he wanted to do. He had a lot of friends in high school. He got out. He liked to have fun with them. He was a little bit of an old school soul. He listened to some different music. I mean, he liked the Grateful Dead. The Beatles were one of his big groups that he liked. I don't know where that came from. I mean, I'm a little bit of a Guns N' Roses fan myself, something like that. So his school was even past my generation. But he liked the old school, kind of a hippie, you would almost say. He continued on, but the thing that we really saw that changed, and it was amazing, and it was surprising. I kept on wondering what he was going to do. What are you going to do for graduation? And he was like, I don't know. Then one day he goes, yep, I'm going to go to Vincennes University, and I'm going to go to Lands Survey Management. And I was like, where did that come from? I had no clue. I mean, I was happy about it, but I didn't even know where it happened. But he had a friend that was a land surveyor, and he just, for some reason, thought that was something that he wanted to do. So sure enough, found out what he needed to know about Vincennes University, got into Vincennes University, and you really begin to saw that kind of light switch change with him. He had a purpose. He knew where he was going. He knew what he wanted to do. So that's a little bit about him, kind of a quick moving across who Kyle was. I mean, that only skims the surface of it. I mean, there's so much more, but a little bit of it right there.
So you kind of answered my second question was why did he choose Vincennes and what was his major? So I'll skip down here. How was Kyle's time on campus? Did he work during college, or did he have a lot of friends on campus? Did he have any hobbies that he enjoyed doing?
he didn't tell us much. So he liked to game. He was very much an online gamer. So I think he probably did a lot of gaming and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he didn't. He was a typical kid with parents. I mean, he'd talk to us and we'd do our things, but at school, that was his time to get away.
And it sounds like Kyle was just a typical high schooler, and then that's amazing. Just that just a friend could bring him to that specific career path he wanted to take.
And out of the blue, and never even heard of it. I mean, I was like,
oh yeah.
I guess to go back on that a little bit, he was enjoying CAD. In high school, he was enjoying CAD in high school, and he wasn't sure what he was going to do with enjoying CAD. But I mean, I didn't know CAD had anything to do with land surveying.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I don't know, but it was neat. So yeah, around here, I mean, yeah, he came here, he enjoyed his time here, his roommates and everything like that. A lot of gaming, Xbox was all over the place, So.
So, what were Kyle's aspirations after college?
We were still getting there. We were trying to figure out that point. As we mentioned it, well, we didn't mention it. Actually, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, actually. Kyle had already finished up his first year here. After his first year, he came back to our place, but he actually had an internship, and that was with VS Engineering. With VS Engineering, I think he got his first real taste of some cold hard cash. He was like all of a sudden going, they're paying me. I mean, they actually put him on temporary duty and sent him out, and he was in a hotel, and he took a picture of himself in a hotel. Yep, I got a hotel and I'm getting paid. So it was his first real experience of getting cash, getting money. And so at the same time, we were always looking, it was a 2-year program. So he was trying to decide, was he going to continue? Maybe he was going to go Purdue after that, kind of along those lines. Maybe he was going to take a little bit of time and just go to VS Engineering. Wasn't sure. We were pretty much at that point in his life. Man, he was enjoying the money right now. But I was pushing, if you're going to do it, might as well go all the way with it. And he was actually really taking a good hard look at it, thinking about that as well.
Oh yeah. It sounded like he was really dead set. Like
he was
really enjoying this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he really was. Again, it was so amazing through all the time. I had my worries going, oh my God, what is this boy going to do? What's he going to do? And then just that light bulb just popped on, and you could, almost see it. And it was like, wow, it was really pretty cool to witness.
Awesome. So during some background investigating and trying to find some more information on the story, I came across a news article about his last trip home. And I was just hoping maybe you guys could talk on that a little bit more. And I saw where you were interviewed, and you said that you felt blessed that you had the chance to hug him and tell him you loved him before he left that night. If you could just talk a little bit about what happened, and he was home for Christmas break, maybe explain and just tell us how special that was to have Christmas with him again that year.
You want to go ahead and kind of talk, or do you want me to, or how would you like?
I can talk. Yeah, it was Christmas break. We even had a big New Year's party a couple days before he passed away, and we have great memories of Kyle running around in these crazy New Year's glasses. As a matter of fact, we ran across him the other day, and sitting in the corner watching everybody play beer pong. Yeah, it was quite. It was wonderful memories for us, honestly.
I was going to say, yep, that was. A little bit to even remember about that and where it kind of happened. He was at home. It was a Christmas break. Everything was going as normal. But again, I don't know. Take a look back at the weather forecast that happened in 2014, January 2014. They actually took and put Indianapolis, and they knew it was coming. It was into a state of emergency because of the amount of snowfall and the winter storm that was going to come in. So it really was. And I remember that interview, and I remember that actual time. Because it was just about time to head back to school. This biggest storm is coming in, and he had his friend, and he wanted to go. He knew if he's going to be locked down, he'd much rather be locked down with his friend than be locked down with us. But at the same time, so he made arrangements, and he was going to go stay at his friend's house. And I just do remember, we want him to be careful, said, I love you. And, a lot of people, at least we can say one thing. There's so many people that have situations like this, and they either leave in a fight, or they leave in an argument, or something happened, or they didn't even say anything at all, and they just walked out the door. We at least had that opportunity that night to, hey, be careful out there. Storm's coming. All right, I love you. It's been a great time. All right, go have fun. And he went off, and that was it.
So yeah, the point about the storm. That's something that every article I read that pointed out how there was just a major storm coming in. And I think even a few weeks back, I spoke to you guys for the first time, and that was a major point you guys made, is that there's this major storm coming. So that's amazing though that he got the chance to see you guys before that. And and before he left. I mean, really, that's amazing though.
Yeah.
That he got to do that.
Absolutely.
But thank you, Quentin. Those are some really good questions. So I'm gonna go take over now and start asking you guys a few more questions. This is gonna go kind of more into the actual incident itself.
Okay.
So again, we're really sorry about what happened to Kyle. Really, we are, and we express our condolences to you guys. And we hope from this podcast that some answers can possibly come from this. Really. So the first question I'd like to ask you guys is, what are you guys aware of that happened that day, just from investigators or from what you know?
Well, it can. Boy, where do you actually start from this? I think what we know that happened that day. Again, I'm just trying to figure out a good place to start. The first thing I remember of that day was about 4:30 in the morning. We were asleep in bed, and all of a sudden we hear a knocking on the door, a pounding on the door, boom, 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 boom. Look up, and you see red and blue lights flashing. All of a sudden, I'm immediately, oh my gosh, what happened? What happened? What's going on? And thought bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, did he get into a wreck? Or, I mean, he's in trouble or something like that. But when I went down and opened up the door, all I remember seeing law enforcement officer, chaplain. And I was like, this isn't good. And they told us he had been shot. They go, but, he's still alive, but he was shot point blank in the forehead, and he was at the hospital. Still technically alive at that point. So we got in but I mean, this is at the point where it was really, they were at a state of emergency out there. I mean, there was like nobody on the road. So they did make sure that we got there and everything was along those lines when we arrived there. What we had been told, what do we know that actually happened? Basically, we know that, again, he was staying at his friend's house. It was late at night, again, as gamers do, play till the wee hours of the morning. His friend was actually working and had to work the next morning. So his friend stayed up with him a good portion of time. There got to a certain point where he had to go to bed. And so then I guess at some point Kyle he was smoking at the time, ran out of cigarettes, and literally right down the street, like a block and a half away, is a Marathon gas station. He went to the Marathon gas station. It's kind of a weird setup for this gas station. You go around the outside of it, come to the side. There's pumps on two sides of the gas station. One side of the gas station is well lit, and it's got a camera, and it's right in front of the glass window, and it's got two pumps, a main one. Of course, that's not the one he went to. He went to the convenient one. He went around to the side of it where it was on the side of the gas station. There were still two pumps there, but he pulls up into the gas station and he goes inside to buy a pack of cigarettes. As he is actually leaving, there is a person leaving at the same time. Kyle actually held the door open for him. This person actually parked at the front gas pumps, but as they're coming out together and Kyle was going over towards his car, the witness actually saw four youths come out from behind the back of the gas station. You'd have to kind of see it come out behind. And as they started approaching, he got in and they started pounding on the car. From that point on, really, it is from what the witness said. That's what he saw. He knew something was not good actually happening. He got into the car, ran up. There's a BP station just literally, it's less than a mile away, about a mile at the most up there. And so he saw the cops at the BP station. He pulled into there and said, hey, there's something that's not happening well down there. You should go check it out. So they went and came. When they found it, it was actually in the car. The window was rolled down about a quarter of the way, and he had been shot by a .45 in the forehead. Again, technically alive at that particular point. His wallet, his actual phone had been taken, and then we went and we left. That is the main things we know about this case. They took his phone. The phone was gone. The wallet, I think I actually stand corrected. That's the one thing. I mean, the wallet was actually found there. It was empty, but they found the wallet. They left his wallet. Apologize for that. They left his wallet, but they did take his phone. They found the casing of the .45, and that is it. But again, it was snowing so hard that night, and it was just freezing, and it was cold. From that point on, the leads just went cold. There was a sign on the side of the gas station that said, video surveillance in place. That there was no camera there. There was no camera. It was not actually there. It was not actually operational. So there was no video coverage. There was actually nothing of it. So when it really comes down to it, that's what we know about to the case at this particular point.
Yeah, I mean, every like I said, every article I see, I mean, that's a major point, is that certain area within that gas station had no cameras, and it's just unfortunate that specific area didn't have any cameras. we haven't been to that location. I'm not sure if you guys have been to that location. Do you know if that's changed at that marathon?
They do have one. They put it up.
Okay.
It wasn't that much longer after there because the sign was there. You can actually see it
Yeah.
when the first news articles are there. You can see that surveillance, but first thing they go, nope, that was. One. But they do have cameras there now and everything. So
Yeah, I mean, and that's, like I said, that's a major point, that specific spot. It makes me wonder, do you think that maybe these individuals that were at that gas station, were they aware that there was no cameras in that specific location?
I have a feeling they did.
I would think you'd have to. Yeah, I mean, because otherwise, why would you park right underneath the place that says surveillance
I'm just waiting there, yeah.
in place?
That's
I mean, you have to know that that's not
unbelievable.
actually there. That would be my presumption.
Yeah. I mean, that's unbelievable, though.
And they did have I believe it's a white Expedition or Escalade, I don't remember, that was parked behind it too.
Okay, so it sounds like they were just waiting for somebody then. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's and that's been the big thing. What was it done for? We don't know. Was it a gang initiation? One theory that has been put out there. No real clues what this was really about. We do not know, and that's some of the answers we just like to have answered. I mean, just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with Chief Woodruff, and one of the things he told me was, he said along the lines of robbery, another thing. But then, like, he said with the phone, the only thing that was missing was the phone. And then the wallet, I'm not sure if none of the articles stated that he had anything in his wallet or anything along those lines. So, I mean, yeah, it just leaves you just baffled, wondering why this would happen.
And they left the sports car.
I mean,
Convertible Spider Eclipse sports car. So
I mean, it's bizarre, really. But I mean, going to the next questions I have, I guess we kind of spoke about it. So is there any evidence that has been presented to you guys, or anything of significance that has been found after by investigators?
The only thing I really know is the 45 casing itself, and it's, you can get so much if you actually could find the gun that it actually came from. You could get it, but as far as DNA samples or anything along those lines, it's not easy to extract something like that off there. So really, it was the 45 casing that was found in the car. That is really the only piece of evidence that they really have in this. All that we know and what keeps on leaving light out there is there was 4 people there that day. 4 people. I mean, one of them has to have a soul. One of them has to have a conscience. One of them, after this many points in time, something has happened in their life. They've had children themselves, and they can understand what it's at.
Yeah.
They're in a certain particular point where maybe they've gotten in trouble, and they can make it a little bit easy. It's hard to keep 4 people quiet for over almost coming up on a decade now.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, again, that's another bizarre topic to me. Just the fact that the 4 individuals would do this, and little to no evidence came up afterwards from the initial incident. I mean, really, that's just crazy to me. Really.
There was the discussion that they probably had gloves on because it was really cold too. So obviously there was no fingerprints on the car.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Because I mean, so like the main piece of evidence then is just that 45 casing then, and I'm assuming they probably done everything they can with that. Testing wise, everything.
Yep, as far as I know, they've done everything that they can really with it, and you're pretty limited. You can get the gun path. I am definitely not a forensic. I don't know. They did the things with it that they can do.
Yeah. So you guys spoke about a witness. So is there just one specific witness to that case? Have any other witnesses came forward after that, or is it just one person?
Yep, just that one witness that actually went out with him outside the door, was going to the front pumps, and actually saw the 4 coming out from behind it and start pounding on the cars. He's the one that went up and told the police. That's the only one that was there. It was literally like 3 o'clock in the morning when this actually took place.
Yeah.
So it was early in the morning. There really wasn't much out there. And it was a state of I don't even know if they actually turned on a state of emergency at that particular point. But everybody knew the storms were coming in, so there was already not many people on the road. So, yeah.
And he didn't have a cell phone, so he had to go somewhere else to get
that's
in
unfortunate.
contact.
Yeah. I remember you guys talking about how he had to go drive to another gas station to find law enforcement.
Yeah, and obviously he was too scared to go back in and say, call 911.
So the clerk that was there, he didn't see anything. Well, he couldn't have really.
Yeah, and Never talked much about that. They went in there and he said he didn't even really hear. He didn't hear anything. He didn't even know anything happened or anything along those lines. He was unaware of it. There's no surveillance, no cameras looking out over there so he could see what was happening at those pumps, and he would just didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that leads to my next question. So I've spoken with Chief Woodruff, and he seems pretty passionate, really, about this case. And I believe there is a lead detective. We haven't been able to speak with him yet, but we're hoping to speak with him at some point. So did the investigators still keep in contact with you? I know they're still even looking into this case. So
I can't say that the lead investigators do not much, but Chief Woodruff, he's the public affairs officer, and I actually literally work right down the road from them. I'm with the U.S. Army Recruiting Command, and so we do different things with the State Department and everything like that. So, but I've definitely got to know him ever since that time because we're both in the public affairs office and positions, and we work so close with federal buildings and stuff, state buildings, I should say. And so, but he stays in contact. We've stayed in contact over the years for different things and such. He's always helping me try to keep it in the news, try to keep it out there. Helps out with any type of media interviews that might be able to take place. But yeah, it's definitely gone into a cold case status at this particular point. And it's so difficult for the law enforcement officers out there, especially with funding wise and such, to actually get money to look after cold cases. Because like I said, there was only one real piece of evidence, and that was a 45 shell. They've pretty much exhausted that. There's just not much they have out there to go on at this particular point.
Definitely. Yeah, I know Woodruff said this is a case that he's really passionate about. And he even spoke about you guys do bike rides for Kyle, correct? Yeah, he said he's attended a few of those. And yeah, I mean, every time I'm, going through the cases, he's the prominent person, I see talking about that alongside you guys.
Yeah, no, that actually the motorcycle rides, absolutely. And in fact, we're getting ready to do another one this coming up year. It's actually going to be it's hard. You can't do a motorcycle ride in January. So you have to pick one at a little different point. But we're actually going to do probably the final one. We did about 4 of them, and it was really hard as a parent, really difficult because, I mean, you put so much into it. To you, there's so much passion and everything. And everybody else, people are nice and they do things. But it kind of lost its, fury after about 4 years. So actually following that, we're coming up on, it's going to be called Kyle's Ride 10 Years Gone. And we're going to be doing it's more just an awareness, really put a billboard up, put it right there by where he was actually murdered, raise awareness, and actually put more money towards Vincent's, the scholarship fund that was placed here at Vincent's underneath Kyle's name, to raise some money for that. But it's more about the awareness than it is the fundraising side.
Getting the word out there. Definitely keeping the keeping it alive. You don't want it to get forgotten.
Yep,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, that leads to my next question. So actually, I guess you kind of answered this. So what's currently being done, or what can we do to remember Kyle, to continue remembering Kyle?
Keep a story alive. I mean, keep it out there. Let people be talking about it. And as I mentioned, even that's all I can do as father. I wish I sometimes was one of those Marvel heroes or those people you see in action movies, where I could go out and I hunt them down or something like that. But I can't do that. I'm definitely not that person. So all I can do is keep it in the public's attention as much as possible, to not let the story go dead, to let his name be known out there, to keep people just talking about it. If anything, it's the only thing I can do to serve him. It's the only thing we can do to serve him. And that's why I said we're coming up with this Kyle's Ride, a motorcycle ride that's going to run right there from right by where he was murdered to where he's actually laid to rest. And then we're going to take it out to a few other locations. It's going to be a charity poker ride. So a few of those locations, like Lapel, I mentioned he was from Lapel. That's where we lived when we first came back. There was a place around there that was going to be one of the stops. Also, one of his favorite things that we did with him, one thing we did all the time with him, was actually go to the movies. And we go to a Buffalo Wild Wings on the way there, and we'd get Wild Wings and go to the movies. He enjoyed doing that with us. That'll be a stop that we're going to do. But as we do it, we're just raising awareness. Any funds that are raised up are going to come straight here to Vincent's for his scholarship fund, where there's been several students that are actually walking around right now and have had scholarship money given to them because of that foundation. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like this is still in the minds of law enforcement that work over there, and obviously I can tell you guys this is something that, I couldn't imagine, going to that door that morning, red
Ah.
and blue lights. I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, that is
That
one.
would have to be hard.
It is sketched into my mind forever.
Mhm.
Hopefully, you never have to
Yeah.
know anything about
Yeah.
that. I wish nobody
Never
had
want
to go
anybody
through
to
that.
have to do
Have
this.
to deal with that. And that is. I mean, I'm just amazed how courageous you guys are after all
Thank
this. I mean, just really, this is just it's amazing to be able to talk to you guys, to have the pleasure to talk to you guys, really. And just again, we're honored to have you guys on here to be able to talk about Kyle's case and getting it out there to people. Again, I hope something comes from this. I guess to finish off, I'm out of questions. But is there anything else you guys would like to add or cover that we didn't cover?
Well, first off, I would like to thank you guys. It was a
Mhm.
really, I mean, it kind of hit us by a shock, and I think we got that email first, and we're like, whoa. But I mean, really, 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 from the bottom of our heart, thank you for helping us with this.
Definitely.
The school meant a lot to him. I mean, she's wearing her Vincent's University
Yeah. Yep.
hoodie right there and everything like that. So we very much do appreciate it. Again, yeah, just great young man, had so much to do with his life coming forward. Really wish we had a chance to see where that would have went
Definitely.
from there, but we'll never know. So that again, just very appreciative for you doing this actually for it to keep his story alive.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. I don't even know how to express how much I appreciate this, really.
We're grateful to be able to have you guys on here, and we intend to have Chief Woodruff, the lead investigator. We intend to get the full case.
Okay.
We want to continue to get it
Very
out
awesome.
there. We want to get as much details, as much information as we can out there, and just be able to speak to as many people as possible. Not only within the Vincennes area, but outside of it. I mean, somebody has to know something, really. So, I mean, we even intend to possibly go to the location and you know, just see the location for ourselves to really get an idea. But again, we thank you guys for coming out here, and we send our condolences to you guys. Really,
Thank you.
it must be hard to have to relive this and to talk about it. But
It is, but again, it's about the only thing that I can do,
Mhm.
and media has been really good about helping me keep his case out there and alive. So, kind of gotten used to being behind this microphone a little bit more. It's been almost
Yeah.
going on a decade now. You never forget. It still always hurts, and you know, the funny thing is sometimes you can talk about it for like a half an hour straight and just talk about it. Then a song comes on the radio, and it's just tears, blood. It's crazy to explain that way, but that's really the way it is. I
Mhm.
can detach from it sometimes and just tell the story, and then sometimes emotions take over.
definitely, it's crazy. And again, we like to say we thank you guys for coming on today and talking to us, and we intend to talk to many more people involving this case. We like to also say Happy Thanksgiving, just
you.
on behalf of the Homeland Security Program and Homeland Divulged. As I said, we'll continue doing future podcasts on Kyle's case, and so keep an eye out for that. We definitely want to get this out to as many people as possible, and we're going to continue to remember Kyle and his case. And on top of that, is there any specific details or contacts you guys would like for people to contact that have any information regarding this case? I know I have Woodruff's number right here, if I can give that out real quick. So Gary Woodruff, Chief of Lawrence Police, that's 1-317-447-7083. And I believe you guys had some numbers or...
And if I did not pull the number out, but if
that's all
anybody
good.
too, you could also Indiana Crime Stoppers too, and that's for anybody in any case. If you have something that one piece of information can do anything, just contact Indiana Crime Stoppers.
And there is a reward on the Crime Stoppers. I just don't remember how much it is.
Okay, but yeah, Indiana Crime Stoppers, Lawrence Police Department, anybody. I mean, just if you know something, I mean,
Yeah.
tell somebody. I mean, it will get to the right spot at some point. It will
definitely.
get to somebody that can help out with this case and help give justice to Kyle, help give us some final closure to what actually happened, and to just end closure.
Somebody out there knows something for sure. I mean,
Definitely.
being with the 4 people, somebody needs to just come forward. It's just terrible what happened, and you know, you can't undo what already happened, but you can come forward with the information that is required to solve this case, and like you said, bring the family some closure.
and
Absolutely.
stop the street violence.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, best we can do now is get the word out there about the case and just push people for information, get people to know about it, and that's what we're hoping. We're hoping somebody will come forward with some information.
And as a reminder, you can stay anonymous
Mhm.
if you do submit the tips through the Chief of Police or Indiana Crime Stoppers.
Yes, absolutely.
And well, again, we thank you guys for coming on today. I'd like to thank Quentin for being on the show as well. I'm Austin Ritchie, and this is Homeland Divulged. Thank you guys for coming, and we'll keep in contact with you guys. We'll make sure to let you know when we speak with Woodruff and everybody else.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Really
Thank
do.
you.
No problem.